Oh no, Bitcoin's dumping, it's all over. And what's worse is that Binance is dumping. All the BSC ecosystem, all the BSC memes are dumping. Bitcoin's down as well. It's all over. Do you think it's all over? Or do you think there's actually hope? Well, Pablo actually thinks we are headed for a major run now. I'll give you the signal plain and straight that nobody's going to tell you about. Nobody else is out there talking about this. I'll give you that signal right here, right now. Here we go. Let's go. I'll cover the BSC system, the Binance system, right? All that screw up with CZ like nobody else can. First of all, the signal I'm talking about that nobody's talking about. Where did Pablo say this pullback was going to be? Once this candle happened on the 7th of October, I said, oh, it looks like a bear engulfing pattern because the red candle was much larger than this green candle. Bear engulfing pattern. We're going down. We support 119K, right? You can see why, right? Because here, all these tops, 119K. To 117K area if it gets much worse. You can see all those bottoms there, right? So there's a chance we'll get to 117K, but will this stop everything? Will this stop the decline? So that's the interesting question. Will this be the bottom for Bitcoin and for ETH? Because ETH is in an even worse situation. I'll tell you what the secret to all this is. First of all, why hasn't Bitcoin pumped for a whole year? Like, why has not Bitcoin pumped for a whole year now? Look at this. We're in what? October? Here was November last year. That's pretty much 12 months ago, right? And that was Bitcoin was at what? 100K. Just under 100K, 108K, 109K top, right? Crashed to 74K. 111K, 23K, 124K, 126K. Why hasn't Bitcoin made any big moves? It's just like behaving like a pretty boring stock, which has only moved like 23%, like 25% in the last entire 12 months. This is not Bitcoin. This is not the Bitcoin that we know. And whilst Bitcoin's behaving like this, alts haven't moved much. Before I explain why Bitcoin's about to make a violent upside move, blow off top, we need to understand why Bitcoin has not made any moves right now. Here's the answer. Are you ready? Here's the answer. Nobody else is talking about this. The reason why Bitcoin has not made a move so far is because gold has been making that move. Gold has been making, in that same period, a 53% move. This is gold. And let's go back to November. Let's see. November, where was gold? November. November. Okay, this is November. Gold was $2,500. Now where's gold? Hit a new all-time high of $4,050. So that's what, like, that's a 60% move. That's a 60% move if we measure from November bottom. 60% move. That's the equivalent of Bitcoin going to 160K, right? Because it started off at about 99K 12 months ago. So why do I say that a major Bitcoin move is coming? Well, because like we can see all the people who are calling for a Bitcoin top for a gold top, because when gold does a blow off and when gold tops, then basically like gold could finish on a topping tail here, which is pretty rare for gold. Like gold could finish right here with a topping tail, right? Close around 239.10, and then that money will come. Then gold goes into pullback, right? Then all that money will come out of gold and then go into Bitcoin, right? It will come out of gold and rotate into other things such as silver, platinum, palladium, Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin's probably the biggest beneficiary. I'll show you guys the correlation between gold and Bitcoin in just a second. So why do I think Bitcoin is about to benefit from a gold pullback. First of all, and then we're going to talk about the Binance ecosystem. First of all, on the weekly, people talk about the weekly and the monthly. Gold is just too extended. Like gold is at what, 81? I've seen monthly charts of gold where the RSI is basically like at massively extended levels. Okay, here we go. Yeah, look at this. This is a monthly chart of gold, and look at where it is now, 91. We have not seen this since January 1980. Oh my God. Yeah, people compare this to January 1980. And what happened in January 1980 is basically when gold topped at $850, right? That was, there were higher highs before then, but gold kept on going. This higher high was what? This RSI top was when gold was 130. And then went on to do another 6x. So, 6.5x. So basically, this is a major signal to heed. Every time when gold hits these sort of levels, does pull back. Hits these levels, does pull back. Except the recent bull run, when it hits these sort of levels, it's a small pullback. A big pullback in RSI, but small pullback in the price. So again, if gold does a pullback, but that's on a monthly chart, you say, Pablo, it might take another 1 or 2 months for this to happen. So let me show you this. We are like 2 hours away from the close here. And this is why I think gold is about to dip. First of all, what do we recognize this as? What do we see as this pattern? Yeah, it's a bearish engulfing pattern, like I've just been telling you guys. 39.82. If it closes below 39.85, then we've got a bearish engulfing pattern. Last time we saw that was here, July 23rd, and we went down something like this. And this one you might call a bearish engulfing pattern as well. So each time wasn't a huge pullback, but it was a pullback. 34.50 down to 32.50, $200 out of. So that's a 7%. That's a 6% pullback last time. Last 2 times this happened, we had a 6% pullback. Well, a 6% pullback here would take it to 37.50, 37.60-ish area around here. If that happened, I think that would be a major boost to Bitcoin. If there was a bigger pullback, that would be great, because then we can dollar cost average into more gold, and Bitcoin would take off, right? Bitcoin then would take off. That's just how it works. But then will the BNB BSC season continue? Will the meme coin season that has crashed 90% on BSC meme coin season continue? Before we answer that question, first let's answer the question of which crypto exchange does Pablo He-Man use? Well, Pablo uses exchange that's non-KYC, right? That means basically the exchange can't even see who you are. So that means the IRS can't see you, the tax office can't see you, FBI, CIA, nobody can see you, right? And Chance, that's why I made this exclusive deal to win up to $120,000 just by trading with them. And just by depositing, get a 20% bonus. Deposit $100, get $20 futures bonus. Deposit $1,000, get $200 bonus. You get the idea, right? 20%. So this offer finishes on October the 16th. So jump on it, guys. And if you're watching this on YouTube right now, then the link is in the description below. The link is in the description below. If you're watching on any other platform, such as this one, that's okay. Just click on my profile page, right? Profile page. And then there's my link tree or stand link. And when you click on that, it should be the first deal that pops up, because this is a great deal. Okay, let's get back to the markets. But remember, folks, this deal is only available on the Pablo He-Man link. Only available on the Pablo He-Man link. So, as I've shown you guys, basically, gold and Bitcoin pumps in turns, right? And if gold takes a rest here, then I do think Bitcoin is going to actually have its next leg up. Okay, so we can see here the effect of gold on Bitcoin, because, you know, even the most hardest Bitcoin maxis compare themselves to gold. They call themselves digital gold. So that's compared to gold. This is what I'm saying. So Bitcoin was here, right, around 15K, and it was bottoming in 2022. And the gold line here is gold. Gold took off first, and that's when gold bottomed. See how gold bottomed? Around 1650 and took off, and that's when Bitcoin took off. And then here was basically the news that came out about the ETF, the IBIT ETF from BlackRock, right? BlackRock was going to do a Bitcoin ETF. That's why Bitcoin then led the next run and went up to 73K. Then when Bitcoin, right, dumped some of those profits, then gold took off. He's followed the gold line, and gold took off to $2,800, almost $3,000, right? And then did a pullback. And that's when Bitcoin woke up from 49K and did its run up to 100K, right? And whilst it's doing that, gold is down. And then Bitcoin pulled back because the Trump tariff threat, and Bitcoin pulled back to April 7th, which was the 74K low. I called 73K, went to 74K low. And here is, whilst this Bitcoin was down, gold was making its run up all the way up to 34.25. And then gold went sideways, and that's when Bitcoin went from 74K bottom up to 124K bottom, and then went swinging sideways. And then gold then started swinging up, right, to above $4,000, and that's when Bitcoin failed. Look, Bitcoin failed both of these breakthroughs. Look at this, right? See this breakthrough, 123K, 24K, break, pulled back. 125K, pulled back, right? And you tell me that has nothing to do with gold, even though the Bitcoin maxis like Michael Saylor, all of them, wants to call Bitcoin digital gold. The real analog gold or physical gold are making these moves, and you want to tell me that's not related to gold and they don't rotate between each other. So just to recap, I see this topping tail here, and that pretty much means that not topping tail, but a bearish engulfing pattern here, and that caused us to have like a 6% pullback last time. So my target is around 37.50, just to be conservative, around here, 37.60-ish area. And that would actually mean, and if it stays down, if it just pulls back 6 or 7% and stays down something like this and then goes up, then that would give us like 3 weeks of rotation into Bitcoin, and for Bitcoin to make its next leg up. So that's why I'm saying this is a signal that nobody's talking about, and yet it's probably the most important signal out there. And basically Bitcoin, I'm still bullish on it, I think, because the fact that gold is coming down. So if you are interested in gold, silver, or platinum, which I talk about a lot in my Discord, but if you're interested watching my videos or in my Discord, let me know. I can talk a lot more about those. As you can see, Pablo has been the expert on those. So here was my tweet, and I've done this plenty of times in my Discord, from July 2023, when gold was still like 60% lower, and I said, look, these are the three factors. We're slipping into World War III, if not at least major conflict in Europe, right? I think at least we can say we have got a major conflict in Europe. BRICS are back in their currency using gold instead of US Treasury bonds. They're slowly losing their reserve status. So those are the three reasons I'm slowly dollar cost averaging into gold bullion and silver mining stocks. And if you are interested, have a look at silver mining stocks and see how well those ones are performing. Okay, let's have a quick look at the Binance situation, right? Binance basically shot itself in the foot, and this is what we are seeing. Look at this dump. Look at this dump. Like, it's just boom, 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 boom. Binance cars, Binance life, Seifu, whatever, down 80%, 93%. Right, Chi, Hodl, right, down 83, 90%. So it's a bloodbath caught in one day. What caused this? What caused it is Binance tweet itself introducing meme rush, sugar rush, sugar rush. That's the one of the songs from Wreck-It Ralph. Anyways, meme rush. Binance Wallet exclusive in partnership with 4meme 4meme is the pump fund on the equivalent of pump fund on the BSC chain, Binance chain, and basically they are basically launching this platform for all the memes that you can trade, as many memes as you want, and it's going to happen on the Binance Wallet. But you know what the problem with that is? Why did it crash? The problem with that is nobody can get into a Binance Wallet. You take myself, for example. Sometimes I use an American VPN, sometimes I use a Australian VPN, sometimes I use a Hong Kong VPN. Here's the problem. If I use the American VPN, right, it basically says, hey, you're not in the US, you're only allowed to have access to Binance USA, so you can't use Binance Wallet. Now, what if you use the Australian VPN? Then yeah, you can access Binance Australia, but the problem is Binance Australia does not have access to a Binance Wallet, right? That's one of the things they specifically prohibit. And then in Hong Kong, it also prohibits you from using the Binance Wallet. And I think the same thing in Europe as well. So who the fuck can get actually onto a Binance Wallet? That precludes like 50-60% of the market, and it's the richer half of the market as well. Second problem is they actually tweeted and they said, look at this, look how dumb this is. They said, discover and join the next wave of meme coins, right, in partnership with 4meme. So if you didn't launch your meme with 4meme, which is the pump.fun that's created by on BSC chain, created by CZ himself, then you are not eligible, right? All the coins that dump 90%, 80% that I just showed you guys, the ones that have been doing really well lately, they're not eligible. Why is that? Because one, they didn't launch on 4.meme, and two, there's going to be a next wave of meme tokens. So which means CZ is going to pump his own meme tokens launched by him and his cohorts, his underlings, right? So basically, it's not it just unless you launch on his platform using 4meme on this Binance Wallet, meme rush, then it just, the coins you launch is just going to dump, which means these coins are going to dump, right? Which means these coins are going to dump, and they did. Look at this: 93%, 80%, 80%, 83, 86, 96%. Yeah. So I mean, it's just over the past few days, I've been the one guy who did not participate in all this crap, right? I've been the one guy who did not participate in all this crap. I do think there can be some sort of comeback. There can be some sort of comeback from these Binance coins, these BSC coins. So I'm now actively looking for an entry on the leaders in this space while CZ is down. But there's a reason why Pablo didn't talk about any of this shit, right? And I'll tell you the reason why. The reason why is because I was talking about while CZ was in prison, this was the leader. Y, it's called Y, right? The elephant coin was a leader in the BSC meme coin space. And it had faith, it had conviction, it supported CZ whilst he was in jail, because whilst everyone thought it was the winter on BSC chain, this coin, Y, the little elephant, actually was trying really hard to be on the BSC chain, even sent 10% of his supply to CZ's wallet, right? CZ didn't care. CZ then came out of jail and decided to pump his coin called Broccoli. Yeah, I guess people already forgot about Broccoli, right? He's got a dog called Broccoli and have screwed over so many people, went nowhere. So I was like, this CZ guy doesn't really give a F, right, about anybody. So then he launches this meme coin season on Binance. I'm like, I bet he doesn't care about any of these people. And he rug pulls, right? Then gets everyone, says you must be on Binance Wallet, and rug pulls the whole thing. So that's why I thought from the start I wasn't into this. Okay?